Welcome to NMS. Today we're going to learn how to grow the triceps. Now to grow the triceps, we need to understand the anatomy of the triceps. Triceps means three. There's three heads to the triceps. So we're going to understand those tricep heads and how they actually work. So the first head we've got is this long head here. Now it joins onto the scapula, onto the, they call it the infraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, okay? And it also joins down here. The insertion point is the Olecranon process of the ulna, okay? So you can see it coming all the way down here and joining onto here. Now this is all tendon here, okay? The second head we've got is actually the lateral head, okay? It's a bit shorter, okay? It joins onto the humerus, okay? And it also joins onto the Olecranon process, okay? So it's got the same insertion as the long head, but it joins onto the humerus. Now, the long head does shoulder extension and elbow extension. The lateral head only does elbow extension and turns the elbow out a little bit. So when you do a tricep push down, it hits it a little bit harder, okay? Then we've got the medial heads. Now, they're tiny little muscle groups, but they're still part of the tricep. They join on to the humerus, okay, at below the radial groove. And they also join on to the Olecranon process in the insertion point, okay? They're also an elbow extensor, not as strong as these two muscles, okay, the long head and the short head, but they are still obviously part of the tricep, okay, and still do elbow extension. Okay, now we've got that boring anatomy part out of the way, but we do have an understanding of how the triceps work better. Now we're going to discuss exercises, okay? So to hit this long head of the muscle, right, it still extends the elbow, so most exercises will hit it. But to go and put it in a position of more stretch so that we put more tension on it, we have to lift the elbow up a little bit, okay? Because that lengthens that tricep head, and you can see it's lengthened now. And then what we do is we extend it like that. So we can pick a dumbbell extension, an easy curl bar extension, or a cable extension, okay? Whichever one suits. I tend to find that dumbbells and cables are better. I tend to find an easy curl bar causes a little bit of elbow pain. So I like to do those two particular movements. But if you like doing easy curl bar, by all means do that one. Close grip bench press, right? That's one of the big sort of movements for the triceps, okay? So what we do is we basically push straight out, okay? And when we do that, okay, we're using all three heads, mainly the medial and lateral head, okay? Still some long head because it's still extension, but we don't put the long head in much of a stretch position, okay? Because we're pushing out that way, so it doesn't actually work as hard, okay? But important to know that a close grip bench press is actually 90 to 95% of the triceps motor units. In other words, almost full recruitment. Okay, tricep push downs, you can use a cable, a rope, straight bar, or a V-bar, okay? My preference is a V-bar or a cable, okay, using a rope. And I like to extend out, okay, with the rope, but with a V-bar, I like to use a wider V-bar and put my hands out so that I can get full extension, push my elbows out slightly so that they're out in front and get the full extension down. A lot of lateral head involvement with that, and if you just turn your elbows out a little bit, it really hits that long head. And it's very similar when you're doing a close grip bench press, okay? The other movements we can do is obviously skull crushes. Now that's also, tricep extension, okay? Very good for the long head, as suggested. Dips, okay? Dips are very good. You keep your elbows in, more upright position, very good. EM studies support dips as being a very good movement. Diamond push-ups, actually very effective. The only problem with diamond push-ups is if you're very strong for your size, they're not going to be as effective for it, okay? So diamond push-ups may not be the best movement if you're very strong. Okay guys, now we get to the part where it's really important. How do you program this and what do I actually do for my triceps? Okay, I actually separate my triceps into 2 workouts every week and I do shorter workouts, okay? So I'm only doing 2 exercises, only 2 working sets per exercise, okay? Plus warm-up sets. So on my first tricep day, I'm doing close grip bench press, okay? And then I'm doing lying dumbbell tricep extensions. That's to hit that long head, okay? I find them the best for the long head. I find it's a really nice stretch on the tricep. And I find with the dumbbells, okay, if I keep them just there and touch my shoulders, I keep still maximum tension on the triceps when I'm doing it. For the close grip bench press, I'll do 2 sets of 5 to 8 reps. I'll go as low as 5 reps. And on the lying dumbbell tricep extensions, 2 sets of about 8 to 10 reps, okay? On my second workout, I'll do tricep dips, okay? And I'll also do rope tricep push downs. When I do my tricep dips, I'm doing them weighted, okay? I'm a pretty light person. I'm pretty strong for my size. So I do them heavy and I extend. I don't fully lock out the arms, but when I do them, I go to just short of lockout. So I'm not like pushing bone on bone. Because when, I do my dips, I'm probably putting about 60, 80 kilograms extra on my weight. And that does make a big difference to, obviously wearing out your elbow joint. So I don't quite lock out. 2 sets of 6 to 8 after 2 warm-up sets. And then when I do my rope tricep push downs, okay, I try to use a lengthened rope and I try to extend the elbows out to get that lateral head to work. 2 heavy sets of somewhere around, 8 to 10 reps on those after 1 warm-up set of about 10 to 12 reps. That's pretty much my triceps program, guys. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about with triceps you've got to be really aware of. Triceps have a lot of volume from chest and also from shoulders. So when you're doing your chest movements, you've got to count those as at least a half a movement because they're going to wear your triceps out. So when you put a lot of volume in your triceps, you're going to have a problem with your chest, obviously contributing to that volume. So frequency 1 to 2 times a week, but less sets, okay? And the volume per week counts. So if you do 2 exercises like I do per workout, 4 exercises per week, 2 sets, only about 8 total working sets volume, all right? If you like this video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos to help you out. I'm going to be doing a lot of nutrition videos, and I'm also going to be doing a lot more training videos. So keep an eye out for those. Thanks for listening, guys. Leave a comment below.